young buck drivers that the total age of their driver lineup is only 42 years old. So,
brilliant.
You know,
I could make a comeback. Let's go through the grid. James Thompson, look at that in the Lada Vesta. Tom Coronel alongside him. Stefano D'Aste in his pinstripe race suit. If you haven't seen that, go on the internet and have a look. Then it's Gabriele Tarquini. Tom Chilton is in 5th with the Honda of Thiago Monteiro. Then it is Marc Quinqui in his factory Citroën. Came back from all kinds of different woes in race 1. Sebastian Loeb is alongside him. Then it is Muller and Lopez. The needle has begun between those two. Rob Huff is 11th alongside Mehdi Banani, Dusan Borkovic, Demoustier, Ricard Rydell and Michelis in 16th place. And Michelis came right from the back to win the Independence Trophy. One to watch in this. He did that in race 1. Hugo Valent and Felipe. Well, Valent won't compete. Will Felipe get out in the other Campos car? We'll have to wait and see. So who's your pick for this race, Matt? The reverse feature does give us something to talk about.
You know, you've got to go with Lopez, haven't you? I know he's starting in 10th, but the guy is just on fire. I mean, any of those factory Citroens, but Lopez just, he did it from 10th last year, and I've got confidence. The guy is on such a high at the moment. He's certainly hooked up his home knowledge. He knows the circuit. If I was a betting man, which I'm not,
I could happily take your money for you if you want, Matt. So we're going to head for a short commercial break. The cars are on the grid and the action is about to begin.
Where performance matters, you'll find total Yokohama, your tire.
So Thiago Monteiro with the cool sheet over that Honda Civic, looking very cool, playing up to the camera. He's got it all to do in this second race. It was a reasonably strong performance in terms of finishing position for him in race 1. He starts 6th in race 2, but he'll certainly be hoping to close the gap on the Citroens in terms of pace. Tom Chilton had a really good action-packed first race. He defended well, but couldn't resist the advances of Mehdi Banani. That pushed him wide. Then Michelis got through, as well as one or two others. Couldn't regain the ground, but Tom Chilton, starting 5th, will be looking to get away from the grid on effectively the dirty side. We haven't really talked about that, Matt, have we? That we talked about how slippery it is offline, but that side nearest the pit wall is very, very dirty. That's the side that Jose Maria Lopez struggled to get away from in the first race, and certainly this is Gabriele Tarquini on 4th. You'd expect the even numbers to get a better start than the odd numbers.
Well, now I would down the back end of the grid where they're exiting turn 14, but up the front end of the grid they're sort of moving back over towards to take the left-hand line for turn 1. So I would imagine Lopez would have been in the pound seats for the first race, and so it was just a cracking start off Muller. I think with the temperatures and everything, Lopez was getting a lovely shot of D'Aste's overalls there, his pinstripe suit. I think he's got a wardrobe full of those.
When he goes to America, he's got a special one for the USA.
Captain America, isn't it?
Captain America, but certainly tops and tails is the order of the day for Stefano D'Aste. And what a character he is. We heard this man, Tom Coronel, trying to allude to some stories without giving them away. And look, he's got cheese on his splitter there, and his helmet looks like a giant block of cheese. So is the livery of his car. So the DHL yellow with the Swiss cheese styled hold livery there. So as we listen to Ben with our pole man.
Since you saw a clear track ahead of you, excited?
Yeah, why wouldn't you be? Fantastic. Yeah, really pleased. This really was a shakedown weekend for our car, so fantastic job by the boys to really be in this position. It just shows this year our improvements in performance when we can be shaking the car down and still be in the top 10. So everything's changed here. We're very excited, and yeah, so am I. It's great to be here.
Ivan said that the car was like a microwave. How it is for you in here?
It's slightly warmer than Scarborough Beach on a sunny Sunday, that's for sure. But yeah, we'll definitely be earning a cold one today.
Good stuff. Have a good one.
No doubt James Thompson would rather be on pole position around this Termas de Rio Hondo circuit in Argentina than Scarborough Beach. And I can confirm that it is warmer in Argentina than it is in Scarborough, back all the way over in the UK right now. Anyone watching in Scarborough, you can confirm that. Feel free to do the same. James Thompson has his door shut. Now, his car wasn't effectively performing as well as Rob Huff's during qualifying. They've had the engine out, they've made some changes. Will he have the pace to make it count for race 2? He is on pole with that DHL liveried car of Tom Coronel alongside him in second. Then it's Stefano D'Aste in the pinstriped suit. Tarquini, the first of the Hondas. Tom Chilton, Thiago Montero, Quing Huimois, Sebastian Loeb, and then Jose Maria Lopez, race 1 winner, with Ivan Muller alongside. Going back, can Michelis do what he did in the first race? Because for me, he was very much the man at the moment. A lot of people tweeting in, Matt, saying that Norbert Michelis was in fact the driver of race 1. You'd be hard pushed to beat Jose Maria Lopez, but he did do a good job, didn't he?
Michelis had some spectacular performances and races last year, so well, he has over the last 2 years. He's been a real up-and-coming young driver who's got a bag full of experience under his belt now. He's a real good all-round package, but it'll be interesting to see how Tomo was on the back foot yesterday in qualifying. You know, his car was brand new. A lot of the pre-season testing's been done in Huffy's car, so Tomo's was literally brand new out the box, and so there were a lot of new car teething problems with it, and every time it was going out and coming back in, they were sort of rectifying all these issues, and hopefully with another few miles under his belt, all repaired up. I just hope the repair from race 1 is tip-top and it'll be good to go, because the speed that Huffy's showing in the other car, you know, Tomo's up for the job.
So Huffy starts from the pit lane. That eliminates his battle with Mehdi Banani into turn 1. Everyone's itching to know whether or not Ivan Muller is going to repay the compliment that Jose Maria Lopez paid him in race 1. Let's listen to Tom Coronel on this formation. That
he just got out of the car in race 1 and he fainted, so it's going to be very hot, but yeah, I'm reasonably confident. Race 1 I had a problem, but for race 2 it all seems solved. We made a quite radical setup, so I think if people are fighting a little bit, there's a good chance for bringing a trophy home. Argentina, the first race. Woo! I'm happy I'm here. Thanks, of course, to my sponsor. It was a tough winter, especially after the Dakar, but you know, another season. I believe this is season 11 for me in the World Touring Car Championship. So I know also quite a lot of the drivers. James Thompson in front of me, and behind D'Aste. Let's wait and see. Let's make a good start, because there's 90% of the race. See you there.
I thought Tom was going to do the whole race for us there, Matt. I thought we were going to sit back, watch the action unfold, and see whether or not, as we were saying before Tom started talking, whether or not Ivan Muller and Jose Maria Lopez are going to come to blows through these first couple of corners.
I was just looking at his helmet, and he looks like he's got the air-fed attachments on the top, and they're not using it this weekend, whether they've not had time or whatever, but it's one of the hottest races of the year, and he's not got his cool helmet all rigged up.
Well, it's painted as a block of cheese.
Either that or he's a hardcore Dutchman.
Exactly that.
Could be a runny cheese by
up.
the end of the race weekend.
It would have melted. Cars lining up on the grid here in Argentina. Round 2 of the 2015 World Touring Car Championship about to get underway. And can James Thompson in that Lada Sport Vesta lead Tom Coronel into turn 1? The green flag waves The red lights will build. And it's a very good start from Tom Coronel. It doesn't look as though Thompson's got away particularly well. And Tarquini looking up the inside. He's on the grass. He's going to lose speed. Can he get back up the inside? There's plenty of contact. Daste into Thompson. Thiago Monteiro around the outside of his teammate Tarquini. And it's, well, lots of door bashing. And there is Daste. He is off further back. He's going to be stuck in the mud by the looks of things. But out front, Tom Coronel has got that all-important lead into turn one from Gabriele Tarquini, who was all over the grass. How did he not lose momentum there into turn one, Matt?
I was just trying to make out which of the Citroens had made best progress at this point, and I think it's Quinquan Mar, but followed by Loeb. But the altercations between Muller and Lopez is what I'm dying to see, and I can't spot it from here at the moment.
So it looks as though one of the Hondas there getting in the mix with Sebastian Loeb. It is Thiago Monteiro. Loeb goes through as our live timing tries to reset itself. It is Tom Coronel at the moment from Gabriele Tarquini, and that is a move for position.
Mars down his inside. Can he hold off Loeb, or is he going to lose 2 places? No, and they've gone up inside the Coronel. This is going to get awful busy into here.
It's Mar with Loeb around the outside. Tom Coronel's got the best seat in the house. He's watching on. Gabriele Tarquini's trying to get that position off Coronel under pressure from Monteiro. But what a first lap we have as the action unfolds here in Argentina, because already it is a Citroen leading. It is Mar from Loeb, and Coronel is third. Plenty of locking up into the final corner. There is Jose Maria Lopez. He's got Muller tucked up right behind him, and also Mehdi Benani is in that scrap. Yes, Mehdi Benani has got in the middle of that scrap in the Sebastian Loeb run Citroen, and also Michelis with a very good first lap, because he's up trying to challenge Jose Maria Lopez. Mehdi Benani now will come and challenge Michelis, the Hungarian, under pressure as Mehdi Benani positions his car around the outside. He's going to get the run. Ivan Muller giving Michelis the hurry up. Mehdi Benani is in fact through, so Michelis now having to defend from the Citroen of Ivan Muller, and Rob Huff's race is over. But look at that first lap already for Sebastian Loeb. He's got a good lead coming through down into turn 5. Quinquimois under pressure from Coronel, and Tarquini's about to get the attentions of Jose Maria Lopez.
It's like Tarquini's just rolled over and let Lopez through, like he knows he's going to be faster. So can he latch on the back of him and pick a couple off, pick Coronel off maybe as Lopez opens the door? There you go. Oh no, I thought he was but no, Tarquini's going back at him. Fair play, good man.
Well, Tarquini has got plenty of experience, made his debut in touring car racing in 1989. I was only 8 years of age, and Coronel's run wide. As soon as you get offline, Matt, you've got no chance. And look at the mud that he's flicked up from his splitter. He's going to go from hero to zero. As look at this gaggle of cars. Michelis in there, Chilton's in there, Borkovic is in there with his dead leg, left leg. He can't brake. Can Dusan Borkovic, and Ricard Rydell all the way around the outside.
Did Montero or Tarko? I'm just trying to make them out. There's so much going on at that point. Almost
I can't
slow
take a breath.
to let Rydell through.
There is action all the way throughout the field, and the safety car is out. It is a safety car. They're all slowing. That will be a real pain for Sebastian Loeb. Quinquimois will line up behind the Frenchman, and then it is, as our timing screens
Coronel needs to pit under the safety car unless the pit lane's closed to try and get all that debris out of his radiator.
Coronel was third going into that lap, and he's dropped all the way down to the back of the field. As it stands, it is Loeb from Mar from Tarquini. Jose Maria Lopez has got the advantage back up to fourth. That ended the first lap, a real melee. Then it is Benani and Monteiro. So under safety car conditions here in Argentina, and that was a pretty fraught first lap. Look, there is Sebastian, no, that was Mar running wide. It was very difficult to pick out with the long shot, but if you look here, that is Mar running wide, and that's how he lost the lead. Sebastian Loeb inherited that, got the run all the way down to turn 5. So that is a bit of a disaster for the Chinese. Quinn Hui Ma certainly will be...
Schoolboy error there. Not taking the pressure. Yeah, he'll be ruining that. That's the race. Loeb made a rookie error on the first lap by trying to go around the outside of Mar and got all on the dirty track. And then Mar's handed it back to him on a plate.
It was very, very difficult to take stock. You alluded to it. There was just action all the way throughout the field from about 3rd down. And at one point, Jose Maria Lopez, down in about 7th or 8th place, he's popped up into 4th. Coronel is the big loser. Norbert Michelis got involved in that as well. He dropped back. We had Rickard Rydell climbing all over the back of Tom Chilton, and this is a replay at the start. Watch Tarquini in the white-nosed Honda get on the grass. How did he not lose momentum here?
Kept his foot in. It's Italian. Have you never seen the Italians drive around Milan?
Well, there's more traction on the grass than there is offline around
here. He'd have been
here.
waving his fist as he's going down the grass as well.
Yeah, let's hope so. Cartoon villain. But Tom Coronel did what he needed to do. That was Stefano D'Aste. It went wrong for him very early on in that first lap.
I mean, the astonishing thing is all the factory Citroens were close proximity together. How's Loeb ended up in the lead when Muller's going to be fuming back in, where is he? 8th place at the moment.
Well, Lopez was down with Muller, and Lopez has suddenly popped up into 4th place.
Loeb seemed to make the better of the traffic at the start. He just got, I think Tarquini got bumped off, didn't he? But yeah, Loeb made the better progress, and while Lopez and Muller they just got bottled up in the middle of that pack, and then Lopez seemed to squeeze through a couple, and he's left Muller back there, managed to put some air and some people in between him there. Right, Coronel's finally come into whether his engine was overheating. Let's hope it's not done it too much damage.
Well, there was so much grass cutting from Coronel's car. He had to come in because that car would absolutely overheat as this race unfolds if he hadn't. Safety car lights still on. Sebastian Loeb with 1 career touring car win to his name currently leads this field. He was 3rd in the 2014 World Touring Car Championship. Not a bad return for somebody who's in his first year of motorsport. This is Tom Coronel heading down into turn 1. And it was fairly stress-free for him. It's all gone wrong later on down the line, but for Tom Coronel, considering the action that unfolded further behind, he got through that corner pretty much scot-free.
The other one we haven't mentioned, Tom, is Thompson. He made a big charge on that first lap, but unfortunately it was from the front to the back of the grid, not the other way around. So just to compound Lada's rotten weekend, that will.
And just to confirm what I meant when I said Dusan Borkovic had a dead left leg, he can't fit in that car. We heard from him talking to Alexandre Le Gouy, and what has happened there? Right. I think Mar has pitted. Quinn Hui Ma has disappeared off into the pit lane. Now, I have not had anything through my ears as to why that is, Matt.
No, he's got debris in the radiator.
Okay,
so it'll be overheating.
That was from his grassy episode, and that car will be overheating, and the safety car is actually the worst possible time for him because you don't get the airflow that you're getting, and he's tucked up behind Sebastian Loeb, so that would have sped up that whole episode in terms of the overheating and his dashboard lighting up like a Christmas tree, if you like.
1 lapse of concentration, and that's it. His whole race 2 has gone west now. It looks like Coronel's splitters come loose or something, definitely underneath the front of his car.
Yeah, it looks as though that's the case. If he goes over 15 miles an hour, that's going to detach himself. He won't do much damage to the leaderboard if he continues at that speed.
An incredible amount of noise in car. It looks minor from us here, but
and he won't know what it is. That's the worst thing as well, isn't it?
You'll have a good idea.
well, yes, it's something detached itself from the front of the car. So Sebastian Loeb is still your race leader. It's Gabriele Tarquini now from Jose Maria Lopez. So Lopez up into a podium position already. And your bet, Matt, looking very, very safe. Can Sebastian Loeb run away with this? Can Gabriele Tarquini defend from the Argentinian? Mehdi Banani's in the mix as well. He's looked racy all weekend. The pantomime villain of race 1. Rob Huff fans will be cursing his name every time he appears on the screen. But in 4th place, he can do some damage in
we could call him
Citroën.
the smiling Moroccan Viper as the season goes on.
That just rolls off the tongue there, doesn't it, Matt?
Doesn't it?
I have trouble as it is getting multiple syllables out.
I had oversteer in the corner where I'm now, turn 7. So I lost some speed with Gabriela, went together to T9. I outbraked myself. That was just a stupid move of myself. Car felt great, but now to pit in, temperature was going up, so we had to clean the temperature, but the front splitter fell down. So this is it. Argentina is not my lucky thing. It was going so well, you know. First lap I took the lead, everything felt fine, and then this. Well, it's all my mistake. That's all I can say.
So Tom Coronel being open and honest. And the reason we have the safety car, I'm just hearing in my ears, is it is oil around the corner on turn 2. And you can just see it there in the middle of the track. Now, apparently that's oil. And it was Stefano D'Aste that went off there. D'Aste is not running.
Yeah,
so he got dragged off, and you can see that the mud and what looks like water is in fact oil. They're not doing anything in the way to treat it though, Matt, which is rather...
Maybe they're trying to wait for it to evaporate. But they could be going around here for a few more hours.
Judging by the oil temperature in these cars, it's going to take a while for the oil to evaporate on the exit of turn 2. It's a good theory.
Yeah, so I mean, I was criticising Mar for his, going off on a lapse of concentration. Maybe because it was where did he go off? It was through turn 4.
No, he went off up here,
3.
no.
Yeah, it was through turn 4, exiting turn 4.
It was.
So he could have got oil on his tyres because that oil's going into turn 2. So he might be the first victim because he'd have been the first car on the scene as well.
So the safety car lights are off here in Argentina, which means we're about to go racing. Sebastian Loeb will bring the field around, and he's got to judge it, Matt. This is certainly a skill that he's only had a year's worth of practice. With all on the track on the exit of turn 2, this could go one of 2 ways. Sebastian Loeb will be the first on the scene. Quinqui Mar was the first on the scene last time, went off at turn 3. But I'm sure they would have been warned. Now, Loeb's gone early. The safety car's not quite in yet. I really do hope that they don't catch it up, because that could be quite awkward. The safety car will have disappeared off to the right-hand side. Sebastian Loeb pulls out of turn 14 to lead this World Touring Car field through to the green flag. 5 laps completed of this 13-lap race. Tarquini blocking there Jose Maria Lopez early on into turn 1.
We just saw a little bit of a lock-up from Loeb going into turn 1. Did it running wide?
They're all giving that oil a wide berth, a wider line into turn 3. And Tarquini, does he focus on Sebastian Loeb here, Matt, or does he look in his mirrors? Because Jose Maria Lopez has certainly been the man at the moment, and Tarquini will be aware that it is Lopez behind him. And look, Lopez has got to run.
The speed of that Citroën, I mean, Tarquini is always a fighter. He's always pushing forward, and he has fought back at Lopez on this one. Let's see if he can do the switchback cut onto his inside, but I think...
he didn't defend.
Lopez has got... Yeah, he couldn't. How do you defend on a straight? I think he was looking for a weakness as maybe Lopez to run a bit deeper into the corner, which he did before the safety car came out, and Tarquini had him back, to be fair. But no, it was a good, clean move that time.
And sorry to be the bearer of bad news, Gabriele, but one Citroën will turn into another.
Ooh,
and look how many going wide.
Yeah.
But Montero's now got a Citroen all over the back of him, and Muller cannot make that move stick. We've seen one or two drivers. We saw Coronel going off there from 3rd place in race 1. And
it's that wide line. Lowe did exactly the same. Literally, if they seem to put a wheel off that racing line through a couple of these corners, it is absolutely like ice.
The camber's not going to help through that corner either. It kind of falls away from you. So we saw Tarquini unable to defend from Lopez. Can Montero defend from Muller? And Tarquini has Mehdi Benani, I should say, behind him. I got distracted by Dusan Borkovic's windscreen. Look how much mud he has got all over the back of that Honda, and
Chilton's
he's gone wide.
Good
move from Chilton. Saw the opportunity, got his elbows out, and Dusan Borkovic could do nothing to defend from the Raul Motorsport driver. The Brit through now and up into 8th place.
Rydell's trying to capitalise on his Borkovic is he's just unsettled a bit at the moment, so oh, that's a good save through there, but
well, it's ripped the whole front of the car off, so that is day done for Borkovic. What's your take on that, Matt?
Rydell just managed to slide it up the inside. Borkovic just seemed unsettled, whether it's anything to do with his leg and how it's, he was distracting him, but he just dropped to wheel off, and then the rest was history. But he did well to hold on. I was worried he was going to come back and cross in front of the other cars.
This is now Montero trying to keep Muller behind, and Muller doing what he does best, just putting the Honda under pressure, and Montero kind of just skated off all by himself there. Ivan Muller didn't really have to do too much to get past that Honda Civic, because Montero just dropping away. And look, you can see the mechanics, how hot they are. You can just imagine how hot the drivers are. Did you see? It just looked sweltering in that Citroen garage. They're looking on, and it is Sebastian Loeb that's leading, but that was Jose Maria Lopez's partner looking on, and it's her man that is second. Gabriele Tarquini is going to have Mehdi Benani in close quarters ever so soon. There is the battle I'm talking about on screen, Tarquini and Benani. Then it is Ivan Muller and Thiago Montero. They're rounding out the top 6. Michelis now back up to 7th. He's come from the back, got up, fallen off, come back from the back. So Norbert Michelis leading that all-important Yokohama Trophy standings for the independent runners, and we're looking at Benani and Tarquini, and Benani certainly the man to watch.
Yeah, Benani's on the move, but it's going to be interesting to see if Muller can make any inroads into these two while Tarquini and Benani are fighting it out. But that Citroen definitely seems to have the legs on the straights of this.
Tarquini's fighting hard though. He's gone defensive a few times, and look, he's running wide deliberately there, so Benani can't get the run. Benani's going to have to look around the outside. This was the corner that he had his little incident with Rob Huff.
Yeah, Tarquini forced him wide. That was a good tactical move from Tarquini. Forced him wide, get his tyres a little bit dirty, but Benani is still there. The car is really hooked up, really working well. And this has also brought Muller into the chase now.
Benani had a good battle with Tom Chilton in the first race, and he's having to earn his money here again. Gabriele Tarquini is a wily old fox. He won't thank me for using the word old, but this man has started over 30 Grand Prix. He's been in and around the touring car scene since 1989, and he's got plenty of race wins, 20 World Touring Car wins under his belt. Mehdi Benani is going to have a pretty extensive look in his locker as to what he is going to throw at the Italian, because now he's got Ivan Muller behind, and he can't do anything to upset that Citroen camp with Ivan Muller. He's the meat in the sandwich now, Mehdi Benani. He's the Citroen with the red and green colours in the middle there. Ivan Muller in the works coloured white and grey car further behind, and then it is Tarquini in the Honda. Interesting enough, the colours very similar to Mehdi Benani's Citroen as they head down for turn 5.
But also, Tom, don't forget the inter-team politics, and this is the time of year where you set your stall out to be the dominant teammate. You know, Montero put one over on Tarquini last year. Tarquini won't have liked that. So the fact that Montero's languishing back in 6th place at the moment, if Tarquini can finish on the podium and get Honda's first podium of the season, that's going to be a little one-upmanship for the Italian. So he's going to fight awfully hard for this position.
Well, the two teammates playing catch-up at the moment, certainly Ivan Muller with Jose Maria Lopez, and as you said, Montero trying to catch up to the back of Gabriele Tarquini, who is leading this battle for 3rd place as it stands. Sebastian Loeb is leading by over 1.5 seconds from Jose Maria Lopez, the Argentinian race winner from earlier on, trying to close that gap to the Frenchman, and Gabriele Tarquini doing his level best to hold up Mehdi Benani and Ivan Muller. Ivan Muller up the inside, Matt.
Yeah, Muller's going to pounce. Oh, that's a Benani getting a little bit of his own medicine there, I think. Let's hope it isn't damaged and he can continue, but I think Muller might get a wee bit of doubt. Did Benani turn in? Because he was fair way up his inside.
Now, Matt, we talked about the strength of cars. Ivan Muller's car doesn't even look as though it's got a scratch on it. How's he even got the corner left on the car? Because that contact was substantial, and you said they went around crashing into each other in testing. Well, they've done that in front of the world's eyes, if you like, here, and Mehdi Benani's still going, and so's Ivan Muller. How have they managed that? If you compare that to the Lada Sport contact of James Thompson and Rob Huff in race 1, that's pretty impressive from
the big thing was it wasn't wheel to wheel, Tom, so it was almost, you know, he was up to his B pillar, which they do use as a rule of thumb, but it was quite heavy contact. I actually thought Benani had gone wide and almost left the door open too much, and you know, he tried to close the door when, you know,
well, he wasn't sure, was he? He kind of went wide, and Ivan Muller wasn't really close enough, and then he's kind of come
did Muller
back.
slide wide? No. That's almost like trying to close the door on a travelling salesman when he's got his foot in it. You can't.
Well, it's that uncertainty, isn't it? Like when you're walking down the street towards someone and you both go the same way. He kind of thought Ivan Muller was coming, gave him the room, and then came back when he thought that Ivan was anticipating backing out. "11 laps completed of 15 here in Argentina. Sebastian Loeb is pulling away from Jose Maria Lopez out front. Now that's a dynamic that we didn't foresee. Gabriele Tarquini is still in 3rd. Then it's Ivan Muller who's just had contact with that man on screen, the 25 car of Mehdi Benani.
Oh, that's Ivan Muller.
Well, Muller was back up to the rear of Gabriele Tarquini's Honda, and he's gone off all by himself. Now, is that a legacy of an imbalance in his car, or has he just made a mistake?
Could be a mistake. That's going to that let Montero back through. So it's that's Muller back down to 5th place.
We've seen a lot of mistakes here. That is because the track is so slippery off line, but also the conditions are tricky. These drivers, your concentration wavers, everything becomes a struggle. It sort of starts to slow down, doesn't it, Matt? Because we cannot quite get across to you viewers at home how hot it is within those cars.
Incredible. It's just how many laps? We've got 3 laps to go now. But here another view of Benani, who is, if he was a toy, I think he'd be a yo-yo, because he's been up and down this grid from front to back and back to front.
He has
more times than anyone today.
But he needs to get back ahead of Michelis, because this is the battle for the Independence Trophy, the Yokohama Trophy that we saw presented to Norbert Michelis in race 1. And Benani now has slipped back up the inside of the Hungarian, and Quinquimoir there just getting into the side of that Zengo Motorsport Honda Civic. This is going to go down to the wire, because Michelis has been incredibly quick all weekend, and so has Benani. So that's 4-6. Ahead of them, Ivan Muller has dropped a spot. He's 5th. Thiago Montero now up to 6th, chasing his teammate Gabriele Tarquini, who's 3rd. Then the Citroens of Jose Maria Lopez, Sebastian Loeb, long gone out front. Jose Maria Lopez cannot close that gap as it stands, with a couple of laps still to go here. Muller's in. It's a disaster for the Frenchman. That's because he'll be overheating, isn't it, Matt?
It doesn't look that full, whether it's...
Well, look, you can see that's the brakes, or what was smoking there? Certainly,
That looked like brake
hot.
dust coming out of there. But when he came in the pit lane, it did look like there was a bit in there, but not enough to cause a real issue. But it is incredibly hot out there, so well, that's wrecked Muller. That's not going to be good for his championship. And I think Lopez is going to be actually. He sees Muller as the main championship rival, not Sebastian Loeb, and that's not taking any away from Loeb, but he's still got a relevant amount of inexperience in racing, only one season under his belt, so he sees Muller as the major threat. So I mean, that was just a replay of Muller going up the inside of Bernani.
That was clumsy, nothing more. I don't think that was malicious.
I think Muller, that was a clean, well, it would have been a clean move. Bernani tried to close the door too late there.
Yeah, he didn't know. He kind of gave Muller the room, didn't he? It was clumsy, if anything. And going back to what you were saying, as Michelis now has Quinquimar all over the back of him, that's allowing Bernani to get away. So Michelis doesn't want this, but somehow he's got to get rid of the Chinese, and not in that way, because they're rubbing on each other, and he has effectively got rid of Quinquimar. But
that's good driving from Norby, good defensive driving. He's driving solid. He did well not to let them both through when Bernani got through, to manage to close the door nice and cleanly. And then Mar, that was a little bit clumsy of him, and Norby just held his line and forced him out onto the dirty part of the track.
Well, Mar just tried to come across. He realised he needed to get across, but Michelis was there, wasn't going to back out, was he? And rubbing his racing. And you know more than anyone, Matt, more than I do, that...
What are you trying to say?
Well, you know, being diplomatic, you know, you're somebody that has raced at the forefront of these series with the touring car model, if you like, in terms of racing, and you can lean on each other and get away with it. Montero now, interestingly enough, ahead of Tarquini, so we've missed that. And you were just talking about inter-team rivalry, who gets the upper hand. Tarquini has had a problem and he's flashing his lights. So what has gone on there? Your guess is as good as mine. How has Thiago Montero got ahead of Gabriele Tarquini? We've missed it somewhere. Was that a mistake from Tarquini? And why would he be flashing his lights? We saw that from him in qualifying, didn't we?
That's something to do with the electronic, might be the maps or the anti-lag he's running. So he must have either made a mistake or got a slight problem. He's up to speed now, but Gabriele is not going to like that, because Montero is just getting on with this
mistake
really coolly. Yeah, he's not going to be... and normally dealing with hot conditions, Tarquini is one of the world's best. You know, he runs marathons in hot weathers, and you know, he's a good athlete, and he can deal with a lot of hot conditions better than any of the other drivers out there. So I wouldn't have thought it's because he's under pressure in that respect.
Sebastian Loeb has really impressed me. We talked earlier on in the show, Matt, about how close he was to Ivan Muller in qualifying. He made that small mistake in Sector 3 that really put paid to his front row position, slotted in behind his countryman. And you talked about Muller looking at Jose Maria Lopez as a threat. I think had Loeb not had that mistake, race 1 could have been different for him. And what he has done in terms of controlled this race in race 2, he's driving away from somebody that has made everybody else look slow so far this weekend. And it's a big, big statement in my eyes from Sebastian Loeb.
Well, with Loeb finishing third in the first race, so he's going to have a third and a first. Lopez is going to have a first and a second. So if Lopez holds station, he walks away from here, or flies away from here tonight, and he's with the championship lead. You know, a first and second, it's a pretty impressive start to any season, isn't it? So I would imagine it's not so much Loeb driving away, but it's Lopez just keeping under control, you know, not wanting to risk anything. He's had a cracking weekend. He's going to walk away from here with the championship lead, and let's, you know, that's the best result he can hope for.
Absolutely. I think you're right, Matt, and that's why you're sat here, to give the viewers that perfect insight into what is really going on with the dynamics with Sebastian Loeb and Jose Maria Lopez. But he will remember this moment for a long time to come, because this is going to be his second win in World Touring Cars, and he's going to set the tone for 2015 in this first round.
I do think this will be a massive shot in the arm for Sebastian Loeb. We could see a different driver going forward now to Morocco.
We saw what confidence did in the rallying world. When Sebastian Loeb gets a sniff of it, he's unbeatable. Can he transform that into his World Touring Car career? We'll have to wait and see. Jose Maria Lopez does what he needed to do in second. Thiago Montero ahead of Gabriele Tarquini in third. Then it is the Italian fourth. Mehdi Banani gets that all-important Independence Trophy win in fifth. He kind of deserves that. He's driven well in this second race, but he is the pantomime villain from earlier on, so some of you may disagree with me. Then it's Norbert Michelis rounding out the top six. Quing Quimar in the Citroën seventh. Tom Chilton in his Raul Motorsport Chevrolet Cruze eighth. Ricard Raidel, a good result from him, ninth. Matt, and Gregoire Demoustier over from the Blancpain GT Series for his first outing in World Touring Car with a top 10 finish on his first weekend in the series. That's a good effort from the Frenchman. And then down to our non-finishers, John Philippe, Ivan Muller's the biggest one for me. Dusan Borkovic, Tom Coronel, Rob Huff never got going, neither did James Thompson. Stefano D'Aste was out on the exit of turn one, and Hugo Valent didn't even make the start. But it is all about Sebastian Loeb. The Marseillaise will ring on the top step of the podium, and the Frenchman in a French car in sweltering conditions, putting his name on the map, his second win in World Touring Cars, and we've talked about it. It's his third win, is it? Right, so I thought it was his second win. I stand corrected. So it could be his third win. I'll take your word for it, Matt. Either way, it's setting the tone for 2015, and will this be a start of a championship campaign for the Frenchman? Sebastian Loeb heading back to Parc Ferme. Jose Maria Lopez in the background. Mehdi Banani, who's won that Yokohama trophy, will be pleased with his return. He's been quick all weekend, Mehdi Banani. As I said, pantomime villain in race one, threw it all away in qualifying, but comes away with a trophy for his efforts. But Sebastian Loeb will be absolutely ecstatic with that. And Ivan Muller, Matt, I've said it all through this program, he has to go away from this weekend, and in the back of his mind, that will have knocked him.
He won't be liking it. He won't be happy. It won't be a pleasant flight back for whoever's travelling with Muller. But you know, in the British Championship, we have a weight equivalency formula, which is done on your championship position. So the driver leading the championship has to carry more weight than anyone else. In WTC, it's done on your car mark, and we've had a massively dominant weekend for Citroën, but the regulations will equalise it, and they can go up to a maximum of 60 kilos on the fastest car mark. So the Citroëns rapidly, as we go off to Morocco in a few weeks' time, the Citroën will start carrying more weight than the others. So it is going to pull them back. So Muller would have wanted to make hay while the sun was shining this weekend. So it's going to be a lot tougher for all the Citroën drivers next time, and that's what we want. We want to pull them back a bit and get them in the mix a bit more.
Well, that Lada Vesta of James Thompson and Rob Huff will certainly be pushing for that weight addition, and the Hondas will be looking to get back to more familiar territory, a better balance for them hopefully in Marrakesh. Sebastian Loeb will not be thinking about Marrakesh. He'll be thinking about the party that's about to get underway, because it's been a Citroën double here in Argentina. Jose Maria Lopez, Pachito took the spoils in the first round, but this Frenchman, Sebastian Loeb, has won the second race, his third win in World Touring Cars. And there you go, a shot for all those females out there. Sebastian Loeb stripping off in Parc Ferme. Are you allowed to do that?
As a former gymnast, he could probably start doing some handstands and flick-flacks for us as well, couldn't he?
There's no end to the man's talents, but certainly when he got a sniff of it in the rally environment, he was unstoppable. And I said earlier, is that setting the tone for a championship challenge?
I think you were right the first time. It was set in stone.
Set in stone.
Yeah.
It was. He's just an incredible individual when it comes to his driving exploits. Well, we're going to go back to Alexandra or Ben down in the pit lane. I think they've got Sebastian Loeb.
Well, despite Wtcc's very, very best effort, Sebastian Loeb is the winner of race 2 here in Argentina. Sebastian, congratulations. Great race for you.
Yeah, great race. Great start. Starting 8th on the grid, and I think I was first after 2 laps. So it was a very good start, good overtaking in the first lap, and I managed to keep the first place. I saw Wtcc in the mirror. I was not very happy to see him so quickly there. So I really tried to push, not to let him close the gap and take the slipstream. So I could manage the gap, and from that point it was okay.
Congratulations, well done, a great start to the year.
A determined Loeb is a winning Loeb, and that is an ominous statement for the rest. And he saw Lopez in his mirrors and pushed, and to pull away from Lopez is no mean feat. So well done, Sebastian Loeb. Well, round 2 got underway in sweltering conditions. Not too long after the frenetic action of race 1, which saw this man, Rob Huff, retire, it was time to go again here in Argentina. Could the Hondas take the battle to the Citroens? That man, Stefano D'Aste, was hoping for great things. It went wrong for him very early on, as it did Tom Coronel. Plenty of action throughout the first couple of laps. The elbows were out and the bumping and boring began. But as the order filtered through, it was Sebastian Loeb that established himself out front. Jose Maria Lopez, the hero from race 1, couldn't catch him, and it was Citroen's second win of the weekend ahead of the Argentine. Thiago Montero took a trophy for Honda. That is a return for their hard work. Gabriele Tarquini was 4th. So what does that do for the Drivers' Championship? Look, Jose Maria Lopez leaves his hometown with a championship lead. That's what the doctor ordered. When he came here, he wanted that. He leaves a happy man. Sebastian Loeb, look at that, 43 points. Those two a long way clear of Thiago Montero and Ivan Muller, nowhere near the pair of them. So as we've said already, that's going to hurt Mr. Muller. And as he goes to Marrakesh, he's going to hope that he can claw that back, because you don't want to be on the back foot. Small hit on the car for Dusan Borkovic, but his leg is fine. Well, he was in the wars. Many of the midfield pack will have scars like that on their car after that second race, Matt.
Yeah, it was a fairly busy race, but back to the Citroen politics. Muller is definitely not going to like being third pecking order out of those Citroen threesome. So it's how he takes it. He doesn't take non-success very well, and so it's Thiago's going to be very buoyant after managing to slide in front of Tarquini.
Well, losing's not really a sign of weakness, is it? But it's how you bounce back that
it's how it comes at Morocco, because if with the Citroen, unlike Britain, where you carry weight on your championship